Yes, we have a quorum. Yes, we do. I want to welcome everyone to the September 8th meeting of the Sacramento Regional Board of Directors. Tabitha, would you please do the roll call and read the Metro Cable replay statement?
Director Brewer.
Present.
Director Budge.
Here.
Director Dickinson. Director Hume.
Here.
Director Kennedy.
Here.
Director Maple. Director Rorba.
Here.
Director Schaefer is absent. Director Cerna. Director Singh Allen is absent, and Chair Jennings.
Here.
With that, we have a quorum of 9 votes, and this meeting of the Sacramento Regional Transit District is recorded with closed captioning. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable systems. The recording will also be video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Wednesday, September 10th at 2 p.m. and Sunday, September 14th at 11:30 a.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker card located at the rear of the room and provide it to myself or Adam. Once the item has been called, additional speaker cards will not be accepted. The time allowed for public comment is at the chair's discretion. The timer will chime when you have 20 seconds and then again when your time is up. There was one written comment received and provided to the board from Ronnie Miranda regarding the 8th and O light rail station.
Great. Director Budge, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Budge. We have items on the consent calendar from 2.1 to 2.13. I'm asking all of my directors if they have any comments or questions that they want to vote on talk about on the consent calendar. Yes. 2.9. Okay. Anyone else? This is on consent calendar? Okay, we're going to do public comment in a second. I'm sorry.
There's one public comment on item 2.12.
I'm going to get to that in a second here. Okay, I just want to check with directors first. Okay, let's take the public comment.
We have Glenn Mandelkern.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Take 2. Okay, so I'm very happy to see that you're addressing the issue of routers on vehicles to transmit information. I thought that this would be a good time to bring up this issue that maybe can be addressed while you're also installing these new routers or looking at the ones that you currently have. There was a statement there in this agenda item that said something like, that not having this information being transmitted is of concern, of safety concerns for emergency. I would like to extend that it's also valuable information for riders because as it currently stands, when a vehicle is not transmitting information, a 3-letter code appears, which is SCH, which means scheduled. It's a little bit ambiguous and confusing because we don't know as riders, does it mean that the vehicle is not operating and that's why it's not transmitting information, or the router itself is not transmitting information, but the vehicle is coming? So you at operations do know the distinction because you have your alerts page that tells when bus trips are canceled. I would like to suggest that this all be directly displayed on the bus time map, which is something you mentioned in agenda item 2.12. So that way it's available at a glance and we can see right away, okay, we can stay here waiting because it's going to come, or let's make alternate plans. Thank you.
Thank you. We got that? Perfect, perfect. Any other public comment?
There's no other public comment.
Okay. Director Dickinson, item 2.9.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I really wanted to raise the question of whether it makes sense to continue being part of this JPA. I suppose it's for all the parties to decide whether the JPA should continue, but in terms of regional transit's participation in it, it seems like this is an appropriate time to raise that issue. And if it hasn't been revisited in quite a while, then perhaps that also makes it a good time.
So I would ask the question, and I suspect Director Hume would ask the same question. Since Regional Transit is the owner of the corridor, why would this body not want to be a member of the JPA?
Well, because we own the corridor. Why have a JPA for a corridor we own?
No, but a significant portion from here to Folsom.
Let's clarify that. For purposes of the territory that we serve, we have control, if not ownership, of the corridor, correct?
We have an easement. The JPA owns the corridor. So we have an easement, and so long as the JPA is in existence, we will just have an easement. So either really the only way to get out of it is for all the parties of the JPA to decide to dissolve the JPA. There is a process for that in the RUFA. And so they'd have to come together, all agree. And then at that point, then each of the member agencies would take ownership of their segment of the corridor in fee versus as an easement.
Doesn't make any sense because
Ask a question first. Why, is there any other location on the light rail system where RT does not
Yes,
have control of?
yes. There are other segments where we do not
And,
own,
and
like
who are
at
those,
Folsom.
who are those owned by? Or,
They're owned by cities.
and do we have JPAs with them?
No, we have, in the case of the city right-of-way, we have encroachment permits. In the case of Folsom, we have agreements with them for use.
So why wouldn't we have the same arrangement for this section that we serve, just as we do in the locations you've just described?
I mean, that's not my call. That's something that predates me, and that's just the arrangement that the entities came together, because that was the way they could buy the corridor, is by forming a JPA, all coming together, pulling all their resources and purchasing the corridor.
Okay, but we're not spending $35,000 a year with the city of Sacramento or the city of Folsom for right of way, are we?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, but we
No.
are here by virtue the staff.
Okay.
Here, so
the answer to that is a no.
ask that question.
The answer to that is a no. The amount of money that is dues for the members of the JPA is agreed upon by all members of the
Correct.
JPA every year.
Correct.
And it's actually gotten a little bit lower because Rancho Cordova has just been accepted, and this board did accept it as a member of the JPA, unlike it's been since our incorporation. And so the membership dues got a little bit lower.
That's great, but it begs the fundamental question. Why do we need a JPA in this circumstance when we have similar conditions and circumstances in other places, and there's no JPA and there are no dues at all?
I'm not sure there's a separate agreement with the city of Folsom.
We have an agreement with Folsom, and I don't remember the scope of it, but we do have an O&M agreement with them. And then we have of course, an agreement with the city of Sacramento.
And I do know that the history of the JPA starts at 65th Street
Mhm.
It also dates to 1977, 77, 87,
It's 86.
87. When you might have been there when we finally got the Carter from Southern Pacific or Union Pacific, or whoever it was, and we went east from Butterfield. You were probably there because
That was
we,
not later than 87
no, it wasn't. We built the light rail
at Butterfield.
all the way out to Butterfield
Right.
because that was the extent of the money for the interstate transfer dollars.
That's correct,
And so it went as far as it could
Right.
to Butterfield.
right?
But then when the railroad finally decided to sell it to regional transit, then that's when it got extended out into Folsom. And I think,
Let me ask you two a question, because this is a consent item. And if we're gonna spend this amount of time on it, we probably should bring it back.
that's a really good idea.
So that
We have a
can really
binder
a
on
discussion
this.
About this.
And I think Folsom has a comment.
So Henry, tell me what you think about this.
Actually, Director Dickinson, chat with me about this issue a couple times, and I asked staff to give me more information about this, and we just didn't get it back, to talk again, and I didn't talk to individual of you guys about this. This JPA was like 50 years ago, or 40 years ago, or whatever years ago. And at that time, our regional leaders had a wonderful ambition, which is to extend light rail to further, Placerville or whatever. And I think maybe best solution is, at this point of time, let's put this aside and let's talk about this. Again, we might want to have a workshop to talk about this.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we continue this item to the next meeting because I can't wait to see Linda's binder.
Well, I'll second it. Actually, the first executive director of the JPA was a retired regional transit director or member.
Hold all that history. We're gonna have another conversation, it sounds like, depending on the vote. Is there further discussion? Yes.
No further discussion. I'd move to approve the remainder of the consent, all items other than item 2.9.
Second.
All right. So on the consent calendar, all in favor, say aye. Oppose, abstain? All right, and then on item 2.9, as far as moving it to and agendizing it for it to come back, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain? All right, we are moving forward. That item passes. Okay. It was a great discussion. It was a good history lesson there.
Yeah.
The history.
There's no question. Okay, we have some unfinished business. Item 3.1, customer service response for feedback and comments. Lisa?
I'm over here.
There we go.
1987, I was in high school graduating.
Don't do that to me.
It was a good year. Okay, Chair Jennings, members of the board, I'm Lisa Hines, VP of Security, Safety, and Customer Satisfaction. As the lead of customer service for the agency, I will be presenting customer satisfaction strategies and responses to public concerns. Next slide. Thank you. Sacramento capital projects are managed by the Engineering and Construction Division, with over 15 concurrently running individual projects, as well as supporting daily operation and maintenance demands. The staff of 10 is successful in managing major capital projects by utilizing consultants, which is an industry-wide practice. Staff is supported by the construction project management consultants on each major capital project who work as an extension of SAC-RT. The SAC-RT project management team comprises of staff and consultants. They oversee the day-to-day construction activities, conduct and maintain quality control, and monitor progress. Every construction project is a learning experience for everyone, as no two construction projects are the same. At a weekly meeting, the team continuously reviews what can be improved based upon previous lessons learned. Presentations included in the agenda 72 hours in advance. we will strive to get presentations completed and posted within 72 hours of future board meetings. It can be challenging to accomplish this within a 2-week turnaround. However, we will do our best. How to ensure SAC-RT Flex vehicles are in a safe place for loading and unloading. SAC-RT Flex has been running since December, and we are proud to say that we haven't had any incidents or issues with rear boarding on the vehicles that we use. We provide safety training to all drivers, ensuring that a safe location is identified for all boarding and deboarding. Priority signals for buses, not just trains. The Transit Signal Priority Project is planned to go live by the end of 2026. Buses will have signal priority on Arden from Del Paso to Harvard, and possibly also from Oxford and Del Paso. We are also working on a signal priority project for the Stockton Boulevard BRT, as well as other locations identified in our upcoming COA. Upgrade and expand existing service rather than investing in capital projects. We are working diligently to improve the perception of safety and security by combining visible presence with clear and consistent communication. Although SAC-RT continuously provides this information at outreach events, board updates, social media, newsletters, signage, press releases, and digital toolkits, we can always find new ways to do better. Some other measurable actions may include improving lighting and cleaning schedules, adding more staff to the social services program to connect unhoused individuals with resources, expanding police presence at stations, transit centers, and onboard trains, and continuing to find innovative technologies to improve our customers' experience. We just completed upgrading 200 new cameras at our light rail stations and at our buildings, with 10 of them being thermal cameras, which help us detect trespassers. We are in the process of increasing security resources with the goal of staffing every train with a security presence. When riders see and feel safety in action, perception should follow, especially if they share their positive experience with others. How many trains have been tested for deployment issues? All trains are tested every single night, ensuring all components are properly working. The safety department conducted an audit of all Gold Line stations, documenting any ramp deployment issue. This report has been shared with the engineering team, and the engineering team staff are checking other stations with similar setups to make sure we don't see the same issues elsewhere. This project is currently ongoing. Next slide. Engage SEIU Local 1000 regarding a transit subsidy. Our VP of Marketing has scheduled a meeting with SEIU to discuss long-term subsidy. Community members reported issues with ongoing malfunctions at 2 light rail crossing locations, Mineshaft and Folsom and Bradshaw. At the Mineshaft crossing, the issues reported were the signals were not operating correctly, leading drivers to ignore the red lights and drive around the crossing arms. Our response was we traced it back to a control box malfunction, and Wayside staff repaired the control box and restored normal function. The next steps are increasing the spot checks and of the older high-risk control boxes at the crossings, strengthening the documentation and trending to catch repeat issues. Add targeted inspections during heavy use or after storms, and reinforce operator or field staff reporting abnormal behavior. For the Folsom Boulevard and Bradshaw issue, it was an issue with LED light rail warning lights flashing. The response was it was traced to a system fault requiring a reset. Normal signal operations restored the same day, and apply the same approach as I mentioned before. Look at partnerships and identify how to get to the final destination, first and last mile. The planning department is partnering with our cities to implement a countywide safe routes to transit plan. This plan identifies gaps in the sidewalk and bike network and prioritizes the ones that access transit services. We intend this effort to be collaborative and focused on tangible ridership gains. In addition, we have 53 light rail stations in the Sacramento region. In partnership with the Sacramento Valley Air District and SMUD, we are in the process of transforming these stations into vibrant mobility hubs, offering things like EV charging, community car share, e-mobility scooters and bikes, and maybe a coffee stand or two. To keep EV charging costs low, we are using public-private partnerships and using an air district funds for the capital costs. These mobility hubs will be a community asset that provide affordable charging first and last mile options, and connections to frequent bus and light rail service. Weekend ridership, service for fairs, festivals, games, look at location frequencies and partnerships to ride to conferences, conventions, and maybe even West Sac. SAC-RT partners with many organizations each year, both large and small, that incentivize options to encourage more people to try transit, build ridership and partnerships, demonstrating our value as a community partner. On screen is just a small snapshot of some of the events we have served in the region. This requires SAC-RT to deliver seamless, safe, and efficient service for a large volume of riders on the weekends. To achieve this, we increased weekend service when we launched SAC-RT Forward in 2019, and are also looking at additional options to do so with the updated COA. However, it will require cutting some early morning frequency on weekdays and/or finding more funding to do so, as it requires additional operators and more buses to increase our service. In addition to supporting regional events, we provide extensive community engagement by tabling over 80 events each year, educating the public about SAC-RT, our services, and the benefits of using public transportation. Some of these include Pops in the Park, National Night Out, International Kids Festival, Earth Day, and Sacramento TMA How to Ride trainings. That concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lisa, can you go back to the slide, or whoever's controlling the slides, can you go back to the slide about rider perception? I didn't want to interrupt the flow of your presentation. Something we don't abide by on the Board of Supervisors. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. When it comes to transit ambassadors, just had a question. Are they badged, or is there a way for riders to distinguish transit ambassadors?
Yeah, they wear a uniform, a light blue shirt and dark blue pants. They have a badge and they have a patch that says Transit Ambassador.
Okay. In terms of perception, and this stems from, I think, a recent event or series of events I think most board members are familiar with, and staff probably is. What is the, what would you say the expectation is by most riders about what transit ambassadors do and what they're not supposed to do? Are they being perceived as additional security, or are they being perceived as a resource to help them navigate our system? In the instance of some of the recent emails that we've seen about a particular instance, it seems that there was a perception that an ambassador was supposed to intervene during a physical confrontation. And so I thought this was a very apropos part of your presentation to kind of raise the question.
I'm going to answer it comprehensively. So our security plan is layered. We have police officers that are armed and have a myriad of weapons and are trained at a 6-month police academy. And then we have security guards from a local contract, and they don't carry any weapons. They carry a pair of handcuffs. And then we have our transit ambassadors that attend a 3-month training program at Sacramento Regional Transit. They're 832 PC trained for the security guard level, but they're much like a security level where they report and they report to the police officer if there's a fight, if there's an incident. They're not trained to go hands-on with anybody.
Do they have radios?
They have radios, and they and we also have at our security operations center, we have the ability to live view into any train or bus. So if they notify security operations center there's an incident, the security operations center can immediately pull the incident up live, and then they can dispatch police officers or whatever resources. But they are not to go hands off.
They're observe and report.
Observe and report and issue citations for things, and fare evasion, misuse of fare passes, and so forth.
Okay, and then how are we kind of educating our riders, if at all, about how they can be that particular kind of resource to them, so that there's no misunderstanding and then escalation, of confusion stems from that, which is again reference to this recent incident.
I think there's always new ways that we can do that to help people understand the role of the transit ambassador. And I mentioned earlier in my presentation, there's a myriad of ways that we connect with our passengers. But today I was just in a meeting with our new app, Transit Connect, and it's going to be married up with our Alert Sacramento app. So I think we're increasing our ability. A lot of people use our Alert Sacramento app. So I think we could perhaps do some communication on different platforms. But we do try to communicate frequently about all of our security programs, writing articles, presenting at APTA, in all the different ways I mentioned earlier. But I think we could do even more.
I assume that we have something on our website that explains this?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Maybe just add one more information. Thank you, Director Sarah. The Transit Ambassador was born, this program was born in about 9 or 8 years ago. If you recall, when you were the chair, 10 years ago, and you raised this security issue as our #1 issue. So that's why, we try to look at the best practices to address this issue, but there were no best practices at that time. So we create this Transit Ambassador program. Actually, nobody did in this industry. There were two purposes for this program. One, we have the in-person customer service rep on the train to talk to our customers. Secondly, the customers will check the fares. We did not do that before. And thirdly, probably most importantly, to have a deterrence for any potential bad behavior people to commit something, because you have uniform, somebody there. And the reason we did that is because of the cost efficiency concern, because one police officer's cost equivalent to 3 TAs, Transit Ambassador's cost. And generally speaking, TA has been very successful, and the industry-wide, lots of transit agencies contact us, and we shared our practices with them. And large transit agencies like LA Transit and others eventually followed our suit and created their own TA program. But you raise a very key issue, which is how our TA can interfere with the physical alterations.
Well, it's not so much my concern about them interfering. It's because I presume that we do a good job to explain the do's and don'ts of being an effective TA. My concerns of my questioning really stems from whether or not we're leaving it to our riders to guess what the role of TAs are. And I don't feel comfortable if we're not doing more or enough to make sure it's clear to the riders what TAs are there to do and what they're there not to do.
Yes, and we...
You have staff behind you, I think, that, yeah.
On the communication side, we've done a whole video series about the transit ambassadors. I think you recall that. And we've also featured them in our Respect the Ride campaign. So they're featured in a lot of our campaigns. We do a lot to help, promote frontline staff and make sure that riders know that they're safe. I mean, safety is our priority. So we do a lot.
Good, great. I appreciate the responses. And again, I think it's very timely given the fact that we're all privy to, I think, a particular instance or set of instances where the perception was that a TA was to more or less act like a sworn officer. And so therein lies the concern.
Thank you. And also, we sent the board email at 3:30 today to explain, Yeah, thank you.
Other directors? Any public comment?
We have for public comment, we have Dan Allison.
Dan Allison, representing Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. We're glad that this presentation is going on. We're glad that the slides were available ahead of time. Those are both positive things. We are glad that the Signal Priority Project as a pilot is moving forward. We believe that it's applicable to many of our higher frequency and higher use routes. So we're glad that SACRT is exploring that. Comments about the transit ambassadors. When I'm on light rail, I often listen to conversations passengers are having. And I have heard probably hundreds of times a passenger say, oh, the transit ambassadors, they just check fares. That is the perception of the riders, that that's the only reason they're there. STAR has asked a number of times for them to be proactively engaged with passengers about good behavior, about where to put your bicycle, about how to yield seats to people who need them, priority seating. But I don't see that happening. I see them just checking fares. And there was one more thing. The diagram that was showed for first mile, last mile connections. I'm sure you're aware that SACOG has a whole mobility hub program, and they use similar graphics that show bicycles and scooters. That's not happening. There is no bike share program here. There is no capability for charging your private bicycle. The mobility hub thing has turned into just we need more EV chargers for vehicles. That's not sufficient to serve the riders. We need all modes. Thank you.
And next we have Robert Copeland.
I want to talk about the public safety aspect of this agenda item. If riders don't feel safe on a light rail or at a light rail station, they're not going to ride the light rail. So you got to make this safe for everybody, especially when it's dark. Thank you, because I feel like I'm less secure when I have to ride a light rail in the dark time at a light rail station. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
And Helen O'Connell.
Good evening, board. I'm trying to keep it short. First, the rear entry vehicles were addressed by the MAC board and were discouraged from being purchased by RT because of the concern that they would be loaded in the street. If they're loaded in the street, you have to come down off the sidewalk, go into the first lane of traffic, go up to the vehicle and get into the correct position and then get loaded on. That to me, as a wheelchair user, as an assistive device person, is extremely concerning. If I would have known that FlexRide was a rear entry vehicle, I would have spoken up much earlier. I just saw a van, and there's two usual places for loading. Second, the ambassadors. It is not clear to the general public who does what on the train. Some of the ambassadors will assist people that are needing to get on and off the train. Some do not. Some people will check fares, some won't. There's no consistency. Those are the two most important points that I thought I would bring up. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was the last public comment.
Okay. We have listened to our directors. We have listened to the public. Without seeing any further comments on this item, we will move to item 5.1, the general manager's report.
Actually, we have item 4, items not on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, we do. Let's go back to item 4. Public addresses board on matters not on the agenda.
And we have Dan Allison.
Dan Allison, speaking for Sacramento Transit Advocates and Riders. I'm just going to introduce a concept, and I promise we'll come back at a future meeting with some documents for you so you can look at what I'm talking about instead of trying to imagine it. STAR has developed a recommendation for transit that we go stepwise or incrementally when improving the system. We don't jump from a low level of service to a high expensive level of service. We don't believe that that's productive, and it carries huge financial risks about a project not working out. The two examples of things that are kind of on the table at the moment, light rail to the airport has been there forever, and we seem to have backed off a little bit now talking about BRT to the airport. The fact is the existing bus to the airport is not highly successful. It doesn't serve people well. It doesn't have very high ridership. We need to improve that service before we jump to the next step. Elk Grove is interested in having light rail or BRT to Elk Grove, but they don't have great bus service at the moment. We need to improve that bus service so that it serves people in Elk Grove effectively and at a higher frequency. There's only one thing that you could even sort of call moderate frequency. The rest of the routes are less than that. We need to improve the bus service in Elk Grove before we jump to very expensive BRT or very, very expensive light rail. And that's our view of how we improve transit. And as I said, we'll come back to you with more details in the future. Thank you.
Next is Robert Copeland.
Last Wednesday, I was on the light rail train from 12th to night going towards Watt and I-80. Why was there only one train on rush hour traffic on light rail? I don't understand. A lot of people were standing up, and if the light rail train has to suddenly stop, people are going to be flying backwards. Also, the Watt and I-80 light rail station, why is a southbound? You can't go up to the southbound. You got all the way to the northbound, then cross back over, cross the street, and get to the bus stop. I know there's construction going on there, but when will that be finished? Thank you.
Helen O'Connell.
I too am concerned about expanding before maintaining good levels of service. Granted, Elk Grove is a growing part of our region, but if we're going to do train service, we don't even know where the things are going to be built yet. And if they are planning to build something somewhere, they might fall through, and then we'll have train tracks where they aren't going to be used. Bus rapid transit is more flexible, and as Dan made the point, if we can get the job done without making a whole new thing, why don't we just add to the service that we already have so that people can get to where they have to go to? I was at a meeting at the Elk Grove, and we had people that take the bus into work to downtown. If he missed one bus and went to another bus, that bus didn't get him to work on time, and it was really difficult for him to be on time. So that's a major issue for people that work downtown and live in Elk Grove. So if we have more frequency for those routes, it would be a really good idea. Thank you.
And Glenn Mandelkern.
Yes, so here I am for today's subject is Monday. Not all Mondays are created equal, and it was kind of an earlier topic on the agenda made me remember this from last Monday. Happy belated Labor Day, by the way. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is that it seems that the bus time software can't make the distinction when it's a regular Monday like today or a holiday Monday, which SecRT treats as a Sunday holiday schedule. Therefore, I would like to request that your software be upgraded so it can tell the difference between a holiday that doesn't fall on a Sunday, because what happened last Monday was we would see the vehicles that are on the road nicely, so that was helpful. However, we then see scheduled trips, and it was a little confusing. My guess at this is that it's intermixing regular Monday with holiday Monday. And I imagine that might happen on Thanksgiving too. So if you could fix it by Thanksgiving, I'd be grateful. All right, please look into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. We'll make sure to look into that, to make sure that it does not fall on a regular day, but looks like a holiday, or it looks like a holiday falls on a regular day. We'll take care of that for you. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move to item 5.1, our general manager's report.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Board, and the public. First, I really want to thank our public's comments today, and just to be very 100% transparent, the TA's performance and accountability is a concern for us. And Lisa and I actually had like at least 4 long conversations in last 2 weeks, and looking for the corrective or improvement, action plans quickly. And we actually talked to Jason, our CFO, to see if we can get another $1 million investment in our safety and security issue, and try to do more with less, save in some other areas, and move this money to this safety and security issue. And we want to continue to hear from you, and we can further improve on this area. And Robert mentioned a very interesting situation. We had a very busy train or car with only one car, a rail car. And actually yesterday when I talked to a customer, which I know for a long time, he said, Henry, why, which was last week, one day in the peak time, there was a train with 2 cars, but still no standing room, which actually is a good problem, no standing room. And we will make sure we have 2 cars and we have more regular service. Sometimes maybe for whatever reason, maybe we missed one schedule. That's why people wait. And so many people there. But it looks like in the peak time, we have some very good ridership. We will try to address these challenges. So first, I would like to share, in last couple months, our federal partner has been conducting a triennial review or audit. That is the most extensive or intensive review from the federal government, which did every 3 years. They virtually evaluate agencies' overall performance, compliance with regulations, financial management, among the other, other things, other areas. They provide this triennial review or audit provides independent oversight, ensures effective use of federal resources, promotes transparency to stakeholders and the public. We're going to make sure we're going to discuss the final report with the board and with the public, so you guys can say what actually the federal review reports will say. And also ensures adherence to current FTA requirements and policies, the rigorous review exams compliance in 23 specific areas. It's very comprehensive. Especially in the new administration, they re-emphasized this effort. The final report won't be sent until September 22nd. The draft report won't be sent until September 22nd. And, but right now we know we received a very clean audit with only one potential minor item for improvement out of the 23 main review areas. And the auditors or reviewers stated that this is a very successful audit. The FTA officials and the auditors were, what they said, very thoroughly impressed, and stating the SACAT had almost, perfect audit, and which is nearly impossible. They also just wanted to thank our staff, Shirley and Laura and the whole EMT team and the staff. They prepared this for more than 3 months. It's a very comprehensive and tedious effort. And we did a very good, Corey, our auditor, he did a great job. And so the FTA very appreciate our timely responsiveness and team spirit. And they told me, well, looks like your staff really enjoying working for SACIT, which actually, echoed by our previous surveys. 93% of our staff said overall they're happy work with us, 93%. And a public agency, anything good 70% would be very good. The FTA Deputy Administrator Amy Chen, Miss Chen, had something to say for the SACIT team during the exit meeting. And she said, I would expect nothing less from SACIT as a world-class agency that has won numerous top awards in recent years. I want to thank the entire SACIT team for their tremendous work in preparing for this intensive review. And this is very kind, for her to say that, but I told her, we have a very, very strong oversight from the public. Our public, especially some of you guys, always watch us, try to push us to do better. Well, really appreciate that. That being said, change the next topic. We are working with the City of Sacramento to ensure better reliability on our light rail system in the downtown core. Just recently, the city removed parking along 7th Street, just south of J Street. You can see that parking. This section of the parking was really, troubling because cars would often park too close to the tracks due to the high curb, blocking our trains. With this improvement, we believe it will help increase our on-time performance and also, save us some money. And just a previous, council member of the City of Sacramento parked over there, and our train, struck that car, and eventually we have to pay a large amount of the payment because that car was a high-class new car.
Mr. General Manager, I'm glad you're bringing this up through the chair. I've actually witnessed a train set that had extended into the J Street intersection too, because you had a car that was parked too far into the train track travel lane, and the only thing that the operator can do is lay on the horn and hope someone will come out to the vehicle. So it's an extremely sensitive part of our system that can interrupt one of the busiest parts of our downtown grid, that being J Street. So I'm glad that we're doing something about this.
Thank you. And we're going to look at other areas. And if we have issue, we're going to ask our three wonderful board members representing City of Sac to help us to move that around. Okay, and then next slide, please. So last week we have hosted another one of our transit idea exchange workshops in the city of Elk Grove. I really just want to thank Vice Chair, St. Allen and Director Rod Brewer for hosting us and for encouraging a great turnout. And that's why Mr. Dan Allison, you mentioned about our future, how this type of extension, whatever, should be more careful, and make sure be fiscally responsible. And State Senator Ashby's office also attended, and she shared on social media the next day, and I just read a little bit. Thank you, Secretary, for inviting Tim Ashby to participate in the Elk Grove Transit Idea Exchange, the fifth workshop in a series of efforts to engage community members in discussions that will help shape the Sacramento region's transit future. And So now we have concluded 5 in-person events across the region, and in order to better accommodate the community members' schedules, and we're going to host 2 virtual workshops coming up. And 1 or 2 board members asked us to host additional ones, so we plan to host 2 additional virtual workshops. The first will be on Tuesday, September 30th at 10 a.m., and that is in the morning time. And the second one on October 1st at 6:30 p.m., that is in the evening time. We shared with some of you officers, staff, to ask them to split the words. Okay, the next one. Speaker of public input, Sacramento and the City of Elk Grove have been exploring new ways to enhance mobility and connectivity for residents. This is a part of the state grants to examine the feasibility of the either Blue Line extension or a BRT to City of Elk Grove. The project is being handled by the City of Elk Grove. It's not actually handled by us, and we're just a partner to help them. So last week we partnered with Elk Grove on an in-person community open house. This Thursday we will be hosting a virtual community meeting by Zoom at 6 p.m. If any of our public and our board members are able to participate, we at least hope you will take the online survey, which is posted on our website. We want to hear from you. Then next. Okay. SACAT is making it easy and an effort to pay your fare with the launch of a brand new mobile fare payment app this month. And the new app called Transit Connect is part of SACAT's long-term commitment to use leading-edge technology to improve the rider experience. The new payment platform will be rolled out in multiple phases to provide a smooth transition for customers. And to use the new app, riders show their activated ticket to the bus operator or fare inspector, similar to the current Zip Pass app, which is expected to be phased out in later this year. Technologies change so quickly. In phase 2, which will launch spring of next year, will include tap-to-ride integration, which will include the contactless tapping and real-time data, trip planning, alert and messaging, and cash loading options at vending machines. So that will provide much more convenient service. Okay. Yes, please. Yes.
In the past, when we still had season tickets to the Kings and we took the train down to the G1C, I just bought the fares on the phone. And then if the transit ambassador or whoever came around, they could check that.
Yeah.
Is this the same kind of thing?
It's a new, technology, new app, but the old one was still on that. The older, we purchased those tickets, whatever, was still on that. And I think we did, a couple times in the past many years, we reaffirmed those tickets.
But the point is there'll be a mechanism to buy
To
a
integrate?
ticket on your phone.
Yes, yes,
Great, I see a whole bunch of heads.
yes,
This is
yes,
good.
we do, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
super.
that actually is for granted, yeah,
Great.
we
Thank you.
always do that. As I shared in previous board meetings, we have been writing our system with our local enforcement and community leaders to spotlight their support of SACRT's commitment to safety, address the perception issue, and to help keep riders, community, and employees safe every day. A month earlier, we rode around with Sheriff Jimmy Cooper. Later, we rode with DA Tian Hao on the Gold Line, and recently we rode with Sacramento Police Chief Lester on the Blue Line. And we rode with Chief to the Franklin Station, where we did a site visit of the city's proposed safe parking site in Franklin. They were great rides, and I just want to thank DA and the chief for the tremendous of partnership in ensuring our system to be more safe and secure. Okay, so speaking of light rail, SACRT has joined force with Operation Lifesaver Inc. to help prevent tragedies around railroad tracks and trains during Rail Safety Week from September 15th through the 21st that week. We did this couple years, in the last several years, and we'll continue to work with them. And they are spreading the words around, and so we just want our riders and community members to stay safe around light rail tracks during Rail Safety Month this September and every day of the year. And the message is very simple: safe tracks, think train. So we should always do that anytime. That concludes my report. Mr. Chair, back to you.
Thank you very much. That was a great report, and I'd like to open it up for public comments on your report.
We have Robert Copeland.
Yeah, I just have one quick question. These virtual workshops, how will we register for them if we want to get them on, listen to them? And also, how would it also be advertised to the public?
Can I ask Deborah to, yes, please, because this is important, to let public know.
Yeah, so we just scheduled it. I apologize. If you go to the website, information will be updated on that as well for sacrt.com. We're going to host it via Zoom, so there'll be a live link that you can click from the website. You can also download the information. In addition, we will be advertising in multiple places, even paid advertising, because we really, really want a lot of turnout for these virtual events. We've scheduled them for both the morning and evenings to make sure that we can include all community members who would want to participate. Some more information, you'll see it in Next Stop News, online. The email blast that you get. We'll also do paid advertising and social boosts.
Okay, next, Helen O'Connell.
Hello. I'm glad to hear that the FTA is pleased with the way we are running our RT services. And I'm very pleased that all the input that the public has been giving over the last 8 months or so has been really moved forward so that everything seems to be addressed in a lot more timely manner. There are a few things that I was concerned about when the RT meeting calendar says we have meetings first and third, first and third. People count on that. They make arrangements a long time ahead of time. They do research. They get friends talking about subjects that they would like to bring up. When even if you don't have very many issues on the calendar, that doesn't mean that there aren't people that might have something to say that had to go way out of their way to get things lined up so that they could communicate with everybody on the board. When you don't have those meetings, it makes it difficult for those that have made prior arrangements to get here. Every 20 minutes, even if it's only 20 minutes, it should have a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the public comment.
Okay, any comments from my colleagues? Yes, sir.
I just have a question, man, and Mr. Chair, thanks. On the Transit Exchange workshops, was that, we were gonna do one of those north of the river in the city of Sacramento? Were we not, I mean, that was the Transit Exchange workshop that we were talking about?
Yes, Chris actually worked with your office multiple
Right.
times to see how we can make that happen. Chris, you want to have a response on that?
Yeah, we'd love to get one scheduled, and I've been emailing Brian, but I have not gotten a response on it, so I'll CC you on it so we can make sure to escalate this.
I think you had targeted the South Natomas Community Center, which is something he wouldn't know offhand the availability of, but we can, okay. I just want to make sure it hadn't fallen off the radar.
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So I want to thank Sacramento RT for holding the Transit Exchange at District 56 a couple of weeks ago. By going in, I saw a number of people who attend our board meetings. At the workshop, I saw Helen O'Connell there. I believe I saw Mr. Ellison there as well. So it's definitely important because the public comment is definitely being taken in and being absorbed. And in the circle groups that were taking place, the comments that were being shared and the perspectives were very helpful. I think it helped carry over to the workshop that took place last week that the city held. And so all these conversations that are taking place are very helpful, especially as Elk Grove is looking for ways to have connected transit throughout the city, but also making sure that as the city grows that we're doing it in a smart way and working together with Sacramento RT to make that happen. Also have a question regarding the safety week that's coming up for the actual safety campaign. If you see tracks, think train. Is there going to be a smaller social media campaign or some sort of other campaign that will tie in so the public is aware of what and be conscious or when they see tracks, they need to be cognizant, slow down, or at least stop?
We definitely will have a small, campaign on that. And I actually saw an article from the SACMO or another organization talk about a whole bunch of campaigns or a whole bunch of the events. One of is this. So outside the SACRT, we have other partner agencies or organizations that are doing that too.
No, I greatly appreciate that because obviously safety comes up top of mind for Sacramento RT and for a lot of us on the board as we look out for the community. And so anything we could do to help keep that word going is definitely appreciated and great for the order.
Director Dickinson?
Mr. Chair, I was just to add on that point, Capital Corridor, California State Transportation Agency, Union Pacific, and other partners held a press event last Wednesday in Davis at the Amtrak station and had quite a robust turnout. And I don't know whether or not they're carrying out some additional campaign, but they were emphasizing, of course, all rail, but heavy rail in that case, of C tracks, think train. And so there's a very expansive, you made reference, there's a very expansive effort with a lot of the providers and funders to try to get the message out about rail safety.
Director Maple?
Thank you, Chair. I just have a quick question kind of along the same lines as Director Budge. I recently got back from a climate and smart mobility trip in Amsterdam, which I'll talk a little bit more in my updates. But one of the things that they do there is tap to ride. So basically every single train, every bus, everything that I got on, which was, I rode public transportation everywhere, I would just be able to go into my wallet and my phone, or literally take out my card out of my wallet and just tap it in and out. And so when I hear about the app, will customers for RT have to then download the app and then purchase through the app in order to use that feature? Or are they going to be able to use just like their wallet? I can make sure I understand.
I can go ahead and answer it. So the phase one will be just like Zip Pass, which is just like it is, you have to download the fare. Phase two will include the tap to ride component that you're
So
mentioning.
summer 2026.
Yes.
Well, you'll be able to just, go into my wallet.
Yes.
Fun. Oh, wonderful.
And we'll have improved tap devices at all the stations. So the Connect Card tap devices will completely change.
Okay. So after summer of 2026, when the project is complete, you will not need to necessarily have the app in order to go in. You can just use the wallet.
Yeah, you can use your Apple Watch.
Okay.
To be able to use.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, sir. Director Hume?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that I'm looking forward to representing RT at the App to Transform conference next week. And in addition to the opening plenary session and the keynote, there's a couple of very interesting sessions that I'm intending to attend. One having to do with safety on public transportation, which is something we were just talking about earlier today. And the other one that I think is just fascinating to me purposely and will probably be taking a higher profile in the very near future is the effect of AI and disruptive technology on transit planning. And so looking forward to doing that.
Other questions from my directors? Questions, comments? Well, that concludes the business of this board.
Actually, we have item 6.
Wait a minute, what? I'm missing all of this.
Well,
Okay.
I think we kind of extended on the manager's report with
Got
director
it. You're
comments,
right.
but
So the Mobility Advisory Council.
yes.
Okay.
So we have 6.1, the Mobility Advisory Council meeting summary of August 21st, 2025. And there's no public comment on that item.
Is there a report for that?
It's included in the
Okay.
packet.
All right.
Mr. Chair, can I just have a shout out to the Mac, board? They're absolutely the best of the best. They handle the business so well, and I don't know if you noticed in many transit board meetings, majority of controversial issues come from that. But our Mac board did an absolutely wonderful thing. They handle, issues by themselves, and I just want to thank them.
Okay. Fantastic. Give them a round of applause here.
All right, Chair, I just have a quick, as I alluded to, a kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4 report and just a general update. So the trip that I recently went on was climate and smart mobility to Amsterdam. And I was able to give a presentation at the House of Provinces in Brussels. And so I just really want to thank Henry Lee and the entire team for providing information to me in terms, and I actually received so many slides from different air quality districts, SACOG, RT, city staff, and beyond that I couldn't use all of them. So I was able to put them all together into a more sizable presentation, but it went very well. And just really want to appreciate doing that on short notice. I think that there's a lot that we're doing here, including on the hydrogen space, that they're very interested in learning about there. On the AI front, they're using data like crazy to do planning, everything from safety planning, using what's called a digital twin and for big events, and also planning routes. And so, to the extent that we can start to do that as well, I think it's going to make a huge difference, making sure that we have transit that goes where people need it to go, when they need it, where the population centers are. And I would say my biggest takeaway from the entire trip, I learned a lot about drones, about smart mobility, is that the biggest investment that we can do as a region is investing in public transit if we want to meet our climate goals. There's really, it was stark to me, and they're doing an amazing job there. Sacramento and surrounding areas is never going to be Amsterdam. We're not the same, but there are some takeaways that we can learn from in particular. And so I just really grateful for the opportunity to go on the trip and take back some of the learnings to you all. So thank you.
Great, great. Sounds like a wonderful trip. Any other business for the night? Any other direct comments from directors, questions? Okay, so in closing, I just want to thank the public for taking time to come to this meeting and participate and give us feedback about things that we're doing right and things that we could do better. I want to thank you for that. Also want to thank the staff, the regional transit staff, for being the experts at the table who always are there to give us the answers that we need and to be able to tell us what it is we ask for, and you then give us that answer, right? I want to thank the directors for being here and being the directors of this great organization. And I want to thank Henry Lee for being the general manager and leading it all. I just want to let you know that in my time as an elected, this is one of the better run organizations that I've ever participated in. And I say that truthfully. I don't say it for any gain or any purpose other than it's true. And I enjoy it so much. And so I thank you, all of you, for being a part of this great organization that we will get to see how great it is as time goes on. So thank you so much. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
Thank you for your leadership, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm supposed to have had fun with him.
No, I know.